Today we're going to talk about Neptune. Neptune in the final degree of Pisces. What is its significance? What does it mean in the bigger picture of what's going on in the collective and how we're learning, growing, and evolving? And what will it look like when Neptune goes into Aries next year? So some sort of big themes, and we're taking a step back today to look at some of the outer planets, some of the bigger picture themes. If you follow me every day, you know in our daily videos, we typically do more of the moon signs and sort of the mood of the day and tuning in with how we can best take care of ourselves based on where that moon is. So on today's video, we're going to take a little bit of a bigger view and understand some of these outer planet, bigger picture energies, specifically looking at Neptune in Pisces, Saturn in Pisces, both going into Aries, the sign of new beginnings, but also the sign of the warrior and the sign of conflict. So what is brewing? What does it mean for us? And how can we, as always, what we talk about here is how can we make the most of the energies that are present? How can we optimize this opportunity to create the best possible outcomes for ourselves and for the world? I'm Marina Orms here with your Astro perspective for June 9th. Sunday, June 9th. So right now, currently, the planet Neptune is in the last degree of Pisces, where it has been and will be for several weeks. It will station retrograde on July 2nd. So right now, Neptune is inching ever so slowly to the very, very, very end of Pisces. And so as we get close to Aries, but don't quite get across that line to dip the toes into the Aries water, we're looking at the meaning of Neptune being in this final degree of Pisces and how it impacts our experience. So first of all, and this is today's topic is in part due to a couple of questions I got on my videos in recent days. So if you have questions, be sure to ask, because maybe I will address them in a future video. I love to hear your questions. So what we're looking at today is, first of all, what is the final degree of a sign about? And so planets go through the signs of the zodiac. That's what they do. They move around the sky, and we put that in terms of our frame of reference, which is the zodiac. And so the final degree of a zodiac sign, or the 29th degree, is also called the anaretic degree, and it's a turning point, right? So it's the completion of a planet's time through that sign. And as a planet travels through a sign, it expresses itself. It is learning about the energies of that particular sign. So with Neptune in Pisces, what we have is Neptune, the planet of spirituality, transcendence, interconnectedness. It is the planet where boundaries dissolve and we connect with ourselves as part of a bigger spiritual picture. And then the sign of Neptune is, or the sign of Pisces is also the sign of Neptune, because Neptune is the modern ruler of Pisces. So Pisces is also about this experience of, well, it's about completion. It's the last sign in the zodiac. It is about where we let go of the journey we've been on, right? The identity we've had, the shape we have taken, the roads we have traveled, the experiences we have had. all of that dissolves into a bigger picture as we release our attachments, our trappings, our confinement and containment within those old ways of being and understanding. So the sign of Neptune is about letting go as we experience ourselves as part of this bigger picture. And so it has to do with spirituality, how we connect spiritually through our hearts, through a bigger picture of what brings meaning to our lives, but also how we transcend, right? And how we experience ourselves as interconnected. So with Pisces energy, we can feel the things that other people feel, right? We can pick up on the vibes easily. So we have the more intuitive themes. We have psychic information. We have psychic sensitivity. We have feeling the suffering of the world, right? But we also feel that way that we are all interconnected. So with Pisces energy, we are dissolving or letting go of what we have been, what we have known, how we have understood things. In some cases, we're experience an actual grief process. In other cases, we might be just sort of metaphorically connecting with this experience of letting go of the attachments of the past, right? Old beliefs, old ways of being. So coming back to what is the last degree of a sign all about? The final degree of a sign is about where we are completing the theme of that planet in that sign. So we're completing, we're releasing, again, kind of emphasizing this theme of letting go, of not being too attached, of maybe having to grieve or let go of something that really is no longer part of our way of being going forward. And so we can go kicking and screaming, or we can allow ourselves to move through the feelings and the grief and the letting go that allows us to release and be ready for something new. So the other thing that the 29th degree of a sign is about is about recognizing our unfinished business. So what is it that we haven't completed? What is the unfinished work of the time of the planet in this sign? So we come to terms with what is unresolved. And specifically, as we're talking about the boundary between Pisces and Aries, the cusp between Pisces and Aries, if you will, and what it looks like for planets to move from Pisces into Aries. With Aries, we have the taking on of a new identity, a new way of being. It's like the planet of springtime and babies and new growth and new life and that will to be and to move from our new sense of self and to discover our new identities, our new ways of being. So there's the energy of initiative, of new beginnings and starting new things, but also the energy of action and movement. Aries is also the sign of the warrior. So sometimes there's an experience of needing to protect or defend or fight for something that we believe in. So coming back to this idea of what we believe in, that is a lot of what we're learning about with Neptune in Pisces. So we have also the planet Saturn in Pisces. And I'm going to first, I'm going through right now sort of what do these big picture things mean, and then I'm going to talk about what you can do about it and how to make the most of it. So the significance of having both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces is that Neptune is the planet of transcendence. It's the planet of spirituality, as I mentioned, and that feeling of interconnectedness and dissolving boundaries. Saturn is very much the opposite. Saturn is about boundaries. It's about limitations. It's about form and structure. It's about what is and what is not, how the rules operate, right? Like, so what we can expect, how we need to operate within the container of what we have created. So on the one hand, Saturn is really beautiful because it's about how we create and give shape to things in the physical world, right? And of course, on the downside, now once they have a shape, they also have limitations. So which is true for us too, by the way, right? We have our limitations, right? And that is Saturn. So where we experience our own limitations is where our growing edge is. And so Saturn pushes us to grow, to discover more of what we're capable of, how strong we are, by forcing us to confront limitation. So when you have both Saturn and Neptune in Pisces, you have this dynamic of, on the one hand, connecting with the bigger picture of everything and all that is and transcending limitation, but also this need to ask ourselves, what is important? So, so in other words, and I think that I said this last week about, I was talking about the bigger picture of Neptune being in the final degree of Pisces, and how since Neptune went into Pisces in 2011, you can look back and see how that's kind of when themes popped up of what is the truth, who's telling the story. Misinformation became a big theme, right? Disinformation, deliberate painting of a picture that isn't true. It's like if we tell the lie enough times, it will become true because we've heard it so many times it must be true. Like, so you can see how the nebulous energy of Neptune and Pisces is like, yeah, it's true if we think it's true, right? It's true if we want it to be true. It's true if so-and-so said it's true, right? Why not? On the other hand, we have facts, right? And we have evidence, and that's very Saturnian. So we saw the beginnings of this concept of fact checking. I mean, I'm sure fact checking was a thing before Neptune went into Pisces, but fact checking became a big deal, right? And in recent years, because before that we kind of knew like what you could trust, what you couldn't trust, what sources you could trust. And so this became a thing, right? It became a thing of, are you going to believe the conspiracy theory? Is it a conspiracy theory? Is it the truth? Who's, who do I trust? Who do I listen to? Where do I get my information? How do I verify, validate, know what to believe, etc.? So all of those things with Neptune in Pisces. And then only recently, Saturn also went into Pisces saying, you really have to get it together to understand what information you are believing, what information you are trusting, where it comes from, who's telling it to you, why. It's like really go deeper to understand what is the motivation behind it, what are the limitations, and how can you be empowered, right? Remember, Saturn is about how we learn through our limitations. We learn what we're capable of. So by questioning things, by becoming better people, better informed, better at how we process information, we can reclaim this ability to have truth that is less nebulous, shall we say. Okay, so Saturn is the container, Saturn is form and limitation. Saturn in Pisces also has to do with our spirituality and how we embody it. So spiritual disciplines, bringing a practice into your life that helps you to remember who you are, where you belong, what's important to you, what is the bigger picture. So it's a reminder to embody our bigger spiritual principles. So that brings us to what you can do about it and how you can think about it. And then I'm going to talk a little bit about next year and what it will look like when both planets, A, go into Aries, and B, come together to form their conjunction. So big outer planet conjunction next year of, well, technically, it's not exact until 2026, but we'll get into that. Okay. So what you can do about it is ask yourself what matters. So the word matter has to do with physicality, right? Matter, material, the physical world is about matter. So also, of course, we have what matters to us, right? So what is important? What is significant? So ask yourself what matters. And this has to do with knowing who you are, right? Getting grounded within yourself, centered within yourself. So important to do your self-care so you can get grounded and remember who you are and take action, make your choices from that place. So connecting to your bigger spiritual principles. So again, this is why having a spiritual practice matters, whether it is meditation or spending time in nature or something that is meaningful to you in terms of religion or connecting with other people in a way that is meaningful. So spirituality helps you to connect with what is important and why. And so that helps you remember what matters, right? So we're talking here about bigger principles, bigger spiritual principles, ethics, morals, what matters in that bigger picture. And so how all of these play out in the world around us and how you, because we always bring it back to what you can do, right? How you show up in ways and live your life in ways that are in alignment with what brings meaning to you, to your life. Is love important? You know, do you want to be a loving being to your fellow human beings? Is that important to you? Like, is it important to you that people are cared for? You know what's important in the big picture, right? Not the superficial stuff. So we're talking about what is that bigger picture of what matters and why. And so as we are going through these weeks, and we'll have more weeks when Neptune goes retrograde, still a few more weeks of it being in this final degree of Pisces. And with this energy of completion, but also remember, we are asking ourselves, what is the unfinished business? So what is it that we are going to be carrying with us to work on in the next cycle? So as the planet Neptune goes into Aries, as Saturn goes into Aries as well, we're beginning the beginning of the zodiac, right? The baby, new life energy. And so we're asking ourselves, what are we going to be working on in the next cycle? And so whatever is unfinished, whatever still needs your learning, your connecting, your growth, your evolution, your awakening, whatever's unfinished about this journey of Neptune through Pisces is going to be carried into the next cycle. So it's on the one hand letting go of who we have been, how we have identified or told the story, and how we have believed our understanding of the world, right? What shapes our beliefs, and how we're letting go to allow a new way of being emerge, to allow ourselves to emerge into a new way of being, so that when we start with the Aries initiating energy, we are starting something powerfully, creatively, and from that bigger picture of knowing what is important to us, knowing what matters. So I have a question for you. So now, a bigger theme for this time of Neptune in Pisces, I think Saturn in Pisces underscores this as well, is that we're talking about the bigger mythology of what it means to be human, right? So what is mythology? Mythology is the way that we tell the story of who we are. And so our ancestors who, didn't have TV, didn't have smartphones, didn't have books, they had this oral storytelling tradition, right? Where they told the stories of who we are, what's important to us, what we want our children to know, how we contextualize ourselves in the bigger picture of our experience, how we identify who we are. And so what is our modern mythology of who we are? Because I think that is the work that we are doing with Neptune going through Pisces is, and I don't know that we have done it sufficiently, right? So there may be some unfinished business here, but we need a mythology of who we are, of how we save humanity, right? Not how humanity gets destroyed. We need a mythology of empowerment, of creativity, of being a force for good, and for believing in ourselves and one another as capable of solving problems, right? Just really basic stuff. So that I think we've gotten kind of disconnected from through all this confusing set of beliefs and information, and who's got the truth and who should I believe. And what we need to be asking ourselves is, what do I believe? What is important to me? What matters to me? And so this is my question to you, is how would you tell the story of humanity, of how humanity is saved, how humanity is good, how humanity helps humanity, right? How we solve problems, who we are, especially as we become more of a global community, right? So as we become more of a global community, we need to ask these bigger questions of, what does it mean to be human? How do we treat one another? And then living your life as a microcosm of that, right? Maybe you can't make somebody's life better on the other side of the world, but you can live your life in a way that aligns with and affirms what is important to you, what matters, right? So connecting to and showing up from that place of the bigger picture of what is really important. And I think telling the story to yourself and to people around you about how we are capable, creative, innovative, powerful, loving, caring, like we are all of those things, right? We have our dark side for sure, right? But let's talk about the light side and what we're capable of, and let's reinforce that. So if we were telling a mythology, and if you were telling the story of who we are, how would you tell that story? Because I think that's a great place to start. And that is a lot of really what we're being asked to think about and look at with Neptune in Pisces, and now completing its time in Pisces, over the course of the next year. So, so Neptune is in Pisces, 29 degrees right now, getting to the very end of 29 degrees. It's like, as I speak, it is, oh, I don't have it in front of me, but let's see here. We're at 29:46 minutes, so almost the very, very end. And on July 2nd, Neptune stations retrograde at 29 degrees 55 minutes, which 60 minutes in a degree, so within 5 degrees of Aries, but not quite. And then it goes retrograde, and then in December, Neptune stations direct at about 27 degrees Pisces. And then next year, we've got Neptune enters Aries in March, the end of March of 2025. Saturn enters Aries almost 2 months later. So both very, very close, those planets coming together to both enter Aries together. So think about what that means, right? If Saturn is the planet of limitations and boundaries and shape and form, and Neptune is the planet of transcendence and connecting to the bigger picture and what's important in our hearts and, you know, the energy, the bigger picture, those two both going into Aries together brings us into this place of new beginning in a very powerful way. So whatever happens, and then they come so very close to exactly conjunct each other in early Aries, and then both station retrograde in July, very, very close to each other, but then they move gradually a little further apart throughout the year until 2026, when they actually come together exact, like pass by. Okay, so I don't want to lose you in too much technical detail here because this is a lot, right? So Neptune going into Aries, the last time this happened was 1861. So if you're in the United States, you might be thinking Civil War. Any parallels with what's going on in our world today? Let's look at, instead of being afraid, right, sticking our head in the sand, oh my God, what's going to happen, what's coming, let's think about this as this is a bigger picture of opportunity, of possibility for us to clarify who we are, what we stand for, what our principles are, what matters, and how we are going to protect and defend that from our warrior selves courageously by knowing who we are and how we're going to tell this story of humanity, because that matters. So that's why we are doing this work now, so that we are ready for that time when Neptune goes into Aries. It brings new beginnings, new possibilities, and it brings us an opportunity to create things in the way that we really want them to be created. So thank you for listening to my perspective, my take on all this. I know it's not the only one, and I know yeah, I just think that we have to look at everything from the perspective of what is the possibility here? What is it asking of us? What can we become through this energy and this unfolding of this part of the evolutionary cycles? So thank you so much for being here and for watching all the way to the end. I so appreciate you. And if you haven't yet, be sure to subscribe. The best way that you can support my work is to subscribe and share this video with a friend who might be interested, and to help me get the word out about what I'm doing here. And check back for the daily self-care videos here every day with astrology for unshakable self-care. And then I've been on the weekends doing a little bit more of a deep dive into the bigger picture. So thank you so much for being here and for being part of this and listening. You can learn more about me at astrologyheals.com. I'm Marina Orms. I appreciate you, and I will see you next time. Don't forget to subscribe. See you next time.